Hello guys, after 3 years of the full-scale invasion and 11 years in general of Russian war against Ukraine, unfortunately, even being a civilian, I know a lot about life in times of big war. And today I want to start with a question. How do you think, what is most important for your survival, for the survival of your country in times of this big war? I know many of you will say a strong army, and you are right. Others may first think about weapons that your country possesses, and you're also right. But please never underestimate the role of the leaders that you have in your country. Starting from the president or prime minister, of course, and finishing with those local leaders in a hospital, at school, even on your street. It is super important when you have to make very strong and brave decisions. I think that one of the reasons why Putin started provoking the world, his hybrid warfare against many countries, and then real war against many countries, it is a consequence that there were not enough decisive leaders around who would stop him. Zelensky did that back in 2022 when broke Putin's plan of blitzkrieg, appeasement, and some crazy capitulation in Istanbul. And right now, I'm very happy that in this informational chaos created by Donald Trump, I'm sorry, but that's true, we see more and more strong voices coming from the European Union, and that is definitely a newly elected Chancellor Merz and President Macron, who seems to be one of my favorite leaders right now. And he had a very difficult task to speak with Donald Trump recently, and he did a great job. So let's discuss the things they discussed in a very tense atmosphere, but these are important future steps about the peace deal, about the European soldiers in Ukraine and security guarantees, and of course punishment for Russia. All of that is very important. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia, which is actually the only working peace plan, subscribe, we discuss all of that on the channel. Macron is definitely a very talented diplomat because he managed both to compliment Trump and to constantly correct the mistakes of the American president. Honestly, I cannot imagine myself talking to Trump because I'm not that good at complimenting a person every second. And I'm surprised that a 78-year-old businessman, twice president of the United States, loves this compliment so much, and that is the easiest way to actually open his heart. That is so unnatural, but President Macron managed to balance and did that beautifully. He corrected a lot of Trump's mistakes and disinformation messages, but at the same time created an atmosphere where Trump could feel himself the boss. That is perhaps something he desperately needs. So, most importantly, Macron reminded that Russia is to blame for this war, and if you care about money and how many of them were spent by different countries on this war, please remember that Russia is to blame. It's not Ukraine who started it, and our task is to survive this war, but also to punish the aggressor. He also underlined that Russia must be held accountable for the war crimes and reminded that at the very beginning of this war, he was constantly talking with Putin, trying to persuade him to stop his war crimes. Actually, I remember that period. There were lots of memes with Macron talking for hours with Putin, and I did not like that. But I also remember he stopped calling the bloody dictator after the war crimes of Bucha became known. And I think this is a very logical reaction of a kind and good person. Trump hopes he can change something. And I felt this irony in the eyes of Macron because he knows it's impossible unless you totally accept everything that the Kremlin goblin wants from you. Even if Trump's won that, I'm sure people of the world, of the United States including, will not let him do that. Share these videos to help others see the reality as it is. So, what is also important, Macron was mentioning the frozen Russian assets and that, first of all, they belong to Ukraine, taking into account how many things, lives and infrastructure Russia destroyed here. And also that is an instrument using which you can actually push Russia for some good conditions if we choose to negotiate with them. But there was also one very important condition that all of us support here in Ukraine, and that is a need for ceasefire before any negotiations start. I am sure even if you don't care about Ukraine, you agree that to be able to discuss anything, or at least to see that your enemy is prepared to discuss anything, constant attacks must stop. Otherwise, no one will ever delegate anyone to negotiate something with war criminals that keep dropping bombs on your head while you are traveling to negotiate. Please subscribe, like these videos to demonstrate your solidarity with the people of Ukraine and all those good people around the world who support us. And I want to thank you for that. There are amazing numbers of videos and photos from rallies, how you support Ukraine, how you address your representatives. This works, and I'm so grateful. And that is another proof that Ukraine is on the right side of the history because you support us, you feel, you stand for the truth. I cannot imagine similar rallies happening to support Russia, because even those who want to make deals, who want to start business with Russia, I am sure deep inside their heads, I won't say hearts, I'm not sure they have them, they know Russia is evil. They know they are committing a crime or a sin, depending on how you see it, but it is so very wrong. Honestly, I love the way Macron reminded Donald Trump that Putin is to blame for this war, that Ukraine is defending itself, and even if you care once again about the financial losses, Russia is to blame, not Ukraine. But at the same time, it's so unbelievable that after 3 years of full-scale war, witnessing all those war crimes, Bucha, Mariupol, Kakhovka Dam, destroyed schools and hospitals, we still have to remind that Russia is to blame. But what is important? The ceasefire that we need for any real negotiation process to start is a condition that Russia totally denies. And their Minister of Foreign Affairs Lavrov keeps saying that they will never agree on a ceasefire until a peace agreement is signed. It's not the way you negotiate. And by the way, for the first time in history, when talking about Putin, Trump actually said that, I feel he wants a peace deal. Maybe I'm mistaken. Can you imagine? This is what Macron made Trump say. Maybe I am mistaken. Well, I'm sure it was a slip of a tongue and Trump did not mean that, but it is very likely he is super mistaken and the Russian dictator uses this abnormal speed with which the American president wants to receive a Nobel Prize. I personally think that if anyone is to receive a Nobel Peace Prize, that is President Zelensky. Another important aspect that Macron highlighted during that joint press conference with the American president was the presence of the European troops. If we have a ceasefire, they will come to the front lines, or not exactly on the front lines, but they have to control how Russia follows the agreement. That is important not just for Ukraine, and I'm very grateful to God and to our European allies that they understand this is an important security issue for Europe. It does not mean they will have to fight for us, but they have to control Russia, because if Russia is not controlled, not defeated, that's my vision of peace plan, all the world is in danger, of course, starting from Europe. And these will be, if not NATO troops, but troops of the NATO countries. And I've heard that the French army is prepared, the British. I'm very grateful to these countries. And President Macron was actually the first one to talk about that. And I am like almost 100% sure that Russian delegation of negotiators will never accept that. Because hypothetically, that will mean still losing a possibility to keep destroying Ukraine. And that is the only plan, because they need this tactical pause. Russian economy is collapsing, and they want to trick Trump into making Ukraine agree on anything, then have a break for a year on something and continue attacking. But I am happy that there are more and more leaders who speak about the need of this real security guarantees, not another Budapest memorandum. And Merz was actually speaking about the need to create something stronger to defend Europe from future Russian attacks. Unfortunately, that is very, very likely to come in the years if Russia is not defeated, because to defeat and demilitarize Russia is the best solution. And maybe President Macron, President Zelensky, Keir Starmer, Merz, and many more leaders will persuade Trump. I don't believe it's possible, but I think that actually Putin can persuade Trump by humiliating him in future or breaking some of the agreements. I know sometimes I have a feeling that Trump has very long connections with Russia, but such people are never very loyal or faithful, so anything can change. There are rumors that we have finally signed the rare earth minerals deal, but it was very seriously edited. And here, once again, I trust our leader, and I'm very happy that we have Zelensky right now. Zelensky is #1 enemy of Putin. Even on his recent press conference, the Kremlin goblin kept repeating that they need elections, they will choose someone else. He's even ready to support, the idea of Zaluzhny as a new president of Ukraine, but just not Zelensky. And you know why? Because Zelensky stands firm. And I feel calm when he is the president of my country in these turbulent times, even though I did not vote for him back in 2019. But special times demand special people. Let me know what do you think in the comments below. Remember to join me on X, I'm fighting there, on Blue Sky, I'm relaxing there, it's a beautiful community, on Instagram, Threads, and Discord. Check the merch shop for lots of good items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. You may need them if you want to help us advocate for Ukraine and, oh my God, I can't believe, but remind people that Ukraine stands for its territories, its people, and our survival on this planet. And thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel. But most importantly, thank you for being friends of mine and friends of Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!